wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil.
Mae'Govannen, and welcome to a very short midnight edition of the Gentle Musings of an Elven Scholar. I decided to go ahead kind of last minute to do this quick video in reference to what some viewers have been talking to me about lately. It is sad to me the amount, and I know I've talked about this in other videos, so this is just a real short one about how a Hobbit could teach an elf something about Estel, or about hope or faith. And of course that Hobbit is our favorite for many of us, is Samwise the Brave. Again, I'm doing this because I hear from so many other people in the Elven community how they have lost hope or they're struggling with hope. And again, I know I've talked about this before. I wanted to do it from a slightly different perspective. How they have lost hope, or it's hard to cling to hope in a world that is obviously in such disarray and is so blind to what it is doing to itself. We do have moments of hope in people like Greta and others like that. We know that there are a lot of us out there doing this. For example, a little clip just before I started talking was the clip where in the Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf is talking to Frodo that we have to deal with the times that we were born in, but to have hope, to have faith, because not all the forces in this world are evil. There are good forces in this world. There are good people. Sometimes seems like it's very hard to find, and it gets very frustrating. It's kind of sad, some of the comments I see on Facebook from people who I know are good and kind, and yet they're becoming bitter. Even very young, they're already becoming bitter to what they're watching in the world and what's happening to each other and to all the other creatures in this world, as well as the trees and the forests and the rivers and the streams and the oceans. I totally understand. Okay, but that, like Gandhi said, he said there may seem for a time that evil is winning and will win, but always, always, love works out. Love, hope does work out in the end. And so I wanted to talk about Samwise and how he could teach an elf a little bit about true hope and faith and trust. This is also based on what Tolkien had talked about, were the two laws that Eru, God, passed down. These are really the only two laws that were actually expressed by Eru, meaning for his children to abide by. And those laws are incredibly simple. One, to believe that Eru exists. And two, to have Estel, to have faith, have hope, have trust. And as I've talked about before in another video, this is not just I hope tomorrow is a better day, or I hope tomorrow the sun comes out. This goes far beyond that, and this is something I really try to impress upon myself, upon my patients, upon others, my family, and others that I know. Estel, hope based on the fact that Eru will come through in time. The Eru, it will work out in the long run. It may seem for a time that it will not work out, but it always will. I use myself as an example. I think I talked about this again in a previous video. You know, some of the things that I've gone through in my life. I have had quite a number of adventures on this world, and it's been an amazing journey for me. But the reason I wanted to bring up a couple of points is to show you, no matter how dark it may seem, it will always work out. It may not always work out the way you want it to, but it will work out as it was meant to be. And part of our learning about Estel and hope is being willing to accept that we may get what we want, but not all, or need. We may get what we need, but not always what we want. All right, and in the long haul, it's what we need is more important. It's good to get what we want, and I've been very blessed in that area. But again, it's what we need. For example, myself, I have been around the world multiple times. I have been on many adventures, doing various different jobs and activities just to explore the world and explore different cultures and things. I have been, and yet in every case I'm about to tell you, I came out unscathed because I believed. I believed in the long run it would work out. I've been caught out in avalanches where the boulders were falling all around us. Not a one touched me. All right, this may sound like fantasy and all, and it's up to you to decide what you believe. That's why we watch these videos, to find those which touch our heart. I've been in avalanches before where not a boulder touched me, where we were saved at the last moment during it. I have been in foreign countries without a penny to my name, with a backpack on my back, exploring the different countries, not a penny to my name, and yet it always worked out. For those that want to understand more about that, please look back on my video about the levels of Elven manifestation. That's what I do. That's what I did then, believing it would work out, and it did. I never went hungry. I never went without a roof over my head. It always somehow worked out, whether it was a foreign country or in America, it didn't matter. There was a time when I was out at sea, because I lived aboard my own sailboat. I was out at sea, and there was a very large storm that came up out of the blue, and I was out there by myself, basically. And there were no one else on the boat but two dogs that were with me. And it came upon us so fast, and we were out there alone, and the storm raged so greatly that the boat was trying to completely tip over. And the only thing that kept me from going off into the sea was to grab onto the other side of the boat, the railings. And so as the boat tipped, I held on so I didn't slide off into the ocean. And as quickly as the storm came, it disappeared. It just stopped. And I was saved, the dogs were saved, but again, I came out unscathed because I believed it would be okay in the long run. And I know that may sound airy-fairy, but it's true. Again, it's what you have inside, it's what you will project. And Samwise was, in The Lord of the Rings, he was my, if I'm going to have a hero, he was my hero. If it weren't for him, nothing else would have worked out, at least from my perspective. And here's a clip of Samwise expressing the ultimate expression to me of Estel, of hope, and what it truly means, and how it doesn't take just an elf to believe this, but it sure can teach an elf. Have a look. This only takes about a minute or so. Be right back.
It's like in the great stories, Mr. Frodo. The ones that really mattered. Full of darkness and danger they were. And sometimes you didn't want to know the end. Because how could the end be happy? How could the world go back to the way it was when so much bad had happened? But in the end, it's only a passing thing. The shadow. Even darkness must pass. A new day will come. And when the sun shines, it'll shine out the clearer. Those were the stories that stayed with you. That meant something. Even if you were too small to understand why. But I think, Mr. Frodo, I do understand. I know now. Folk in those stories had lots of chances of turning back, only they didn't. They kept going. Because they were holding on to something. What are we holding on to, Sam? There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo. And it's worth fighting for.
Pretty moving for me. It always touches my heart every time I see that, because I think about how my life has been an expression of that as well. The night shall pass, and there is good in this world worth fighting for. Whether that night passing is something personal in your life, or whether it's the world itself, that the night shall pass and that things will get better. It will happen. My life has been a wonderful example of being in some rather chaotic and dangerous at times. Different places of the world I've been where I was shot at, and I could actually feel the bullets pass by my ears, and I actually could feel it go past, and I was never touched. That there is always hope. There is always faith. The night will pass, and we will be able to continue on, and the world will grow, and it will heal. Whether, again, it's on a personal level or for you, this will happen, and I want you to know that. All right, so again, this was my little midnight version of something I wanted to put out real quick. Also, I wanted to talk of a little saying that I have for myself. I wrote this quite some time ago, and it means a lot to me as well. The day will come, I promise you, when we will, as a people, choose the western sail. As one, we will remember who we truly are, and will bring together our lost brothers and sisters and take them home to Eldamar. When we again fulfill our destiny to be the stewards of the land and reawaken the song of the world and see it in its true form. A time when the world will be seen as it was intended, a land green and filled with hope and the spirit of Eru. Look for me in those days. We will stand together before the light. All right, well, again, I just wanted to have a little quick conversation with you about hope, that my life has been a wonderful example of this, and I hope that this will help touch some of you and to give you that light again so you can continue on. All right, I'm going to have a little quick clip here at the end. Enjoy it, about, again, one of my heroes, Samwise the Brave. And all of you have a most blessed evening, and for the rest of the weekend, Namarie.
I wonder if people will ever say, let's hear about Frodo in the ring. And they'll say, yes, it's one of my favorite stories. Frodo was really courageous, wasn't he, Dad? Yes, my boy. The most famousest of hobbits. And that's saying a lot.
You've left out one of the chief characters. Samwise the Brave. I want to hear more about Sam. Frodo wouldn't have got far without Sam.
Now, Mr. Frodo, you shouldn't make fun. I was being serious.
So was I.
Samwise the Brave.